Welcome back to the Educational Opportunity Podcast, where our goal is to ignite potential with actionable insights that lead to thriving careers and empowered lives. My name is Shayla Letcher, and today I am joined by
Dr. Carlene Lacey.
Thank you so much for being here with me today. Dr. Lacey, when I met you a couple weeks back, you shared a very powerful story. And I was struck by it. I know everyone else here was struck by it. And I had no idea, as someone that's been at the EOC for a few years now, and had my own experiences with this organization, but to know that it impacted you as well in your lifetime was just remarkable to hear that. And so, again, a pleasure and an honor to have you here today. And I would love if you could recap some pieces of that story. Um, I have some questions lined up here for us, so I can kind of dive into those. But if you want to elaborate or interrupt as we go along, please feel free to do so, okay?
All right.
Excellent. All right, so to start, can you briefly share your role with OnRamp and how your work connects to workforce development here in Syracuse?
Absolutely. Really great question. So I am the president and CEO of CNY OnRamp. And OnRamp is a workforce development training center. And our goal is to train and upskill individuals so that they can receive wealth building wages and careers within the advanced manufacturing, building trades, and adjacent industries.
Wow. And that's, as someone that has worked in workforce development for just a short period of time, I'm still learning the language and things and understanding all of the capacity of OnRamp. You guys are far reaching. And so when we talk about workforce development, what does that really mean for individual families in Central New York right now?
Workforce development, as I have affectionately learned throughout my career, it is the silver lining in any industry. Workforce is the greatest asset that any organization has because we utilize our humanness in order to accomplish the tasks and the objectives of any corporation. And so, workforce development, what it means here in Central New York, is about being able to have those individuals available to create, available to inspire, available to be there to make sure that our Central New York community lives and thrives, whether that's through entrepreneurship, whether that's through building hotels, building infrastructure, whatever that is, workforce development is that silver lining that connects it all together.
Beautiful. Okay, so that brings me up to speed, and I'm sure that fills in some gaps for our listeners today. So that's really exciting work, and it's going to definitely take this city by storm. And I'm definitely excited to be a part of that and to be in partnership with you guys. So, what types of training or career pathways are most in demand locally? And how are our local training centers helping residents prepare for those opportunities?
Yes, that's a really good question, loaded question, because right now we are at a moment where we can maximize if we think about I-81 and having to create and build, having those persons who need construction background as an in-demand career. We have the utility, leveraging utility and making sure that we have safety and that there's safety within the electric space. We have the advanced manufacturing. Everyone knows that over a week or so ago that Micron announced and did their first shovel within the ground. So we have that building of the Micron campus as well as the jobs that will be created in advanced manufacturing from the CHIPS Act within the next several years. And then we have all of the supporting areas that will be impacted. We will need people to provide the arts. We would need people to provide houses. We would need people to increase in the healthcare industry. And so all of those are the connected corridor, and workforce development is at the epicenter to help train individuals for these in-demand roles.
Wow. Yes, absolutely. 100% agreed. And, for those listening, the EOC, in close partnership with OnRamp is doing these very same efforts. And I think it's a much needed time to start having these discussions. So that way our community understands that you all are stakeholders in this, right? We're all kind of linking hands and arms and sharing information and education. And we want to all be plugged in on where this employment can be found and how can you begin to position yourself for these types of roles. And so, sometimes trust can be a major barrier, right? Especially for people who have had negative experiences with organization and institutions. How do you and your team work to build trust with the community?
Yes, so that is a really great question.
Yeah.
And what we have and what we will continue to do to build trust within the community is to, one, be transparent. Um, in that transparency is recognizing that there are over 40 organizations here that provide some level of workforce development training. And so what we've done is we've sought their counsel and we've built a robust pilot program that incorporates that guidance and wisdom from those workforce development organizations that provide some training and such. And we'll continue with that. We've also heard from the community in building a community engagement, community advisory committee that will help us not only shape what will be in the permanent location located at 1300 South Salina Street, but it will also help shape some of the programming. We believe that if we embed the community in our actions and in our training, that we will have better outcomes. And so that is how we are building the trust. We're creating that culture within the OnRamp organization. Our temporary site is located 1224 West Genesee Street. And what we are doing is we have a community engagement center within there. And so we are opening it up for those within the community so that they can get a chance to see the culture that is being built at OnRamp, a culture where we inspire hope and we inspire people to come and realize their great potential. That is how we are building that trust within the community.
That is awesome. I honestly, I don't hear enough of that type of conversation and dialogue happening. It's just like bringing the community in to engage on a deeper level within the hallways and the corridors of your organization and just have a very physical dominant presence to shape the culture, right? To shape the outcomes. And I think like working a little bit more in a ancillary role here, I try to capture the stories of the students and bring those to the forefront. But I think bringing them more into the picture and knowing that they are a partner in their own outcomes is so important. And so, as you've learned, listening to people's lived experiences and meeting people where they are rather than where systems expect them to be, what are some of those learnings, right? And as you reflect on that.
As I reflect on learnings of bringing individuals in, it's meeting them where they are and recognizing that it's not one size fits all. To remain flexible, agile, but also provide a level of structure where individuals can see that they are building upon a foundation of greatness. Those are some of the tools that I believe are helpful.
Yes, absolutely. 100% agreed. Now, when we think about barriers, right, we know that, so much of our community is experiencing, whether you are a new American in the area, whether you have been, maybe you're switching careers and you've been out of work for a long time, or maybe previously incarcerated, right? As we think about these barriers that people face, what are some of the barriers that OnRamp is working to address? That way, everyone feels supported.
Yeah, so OnRamp, and I have to give a shout out to Center State CEO for the ingenuity in creating or building that capacity for OnRamp to be created. OnRamp was created for the people to be able to get the skills needed, as I shared. Some of the barriers that we have experienced, or that we anticipate experiencing, is that there will be child care barriers. We live in Central New York. We live in Syracuse proper, and we understand that there's a housing crisis or a housing barrier that exists currently. And so we recognize that while we're providing the micro learning and micro training that will get a person a position, we're recognizing that it's more than that. We're recognizing, or I'm recognizing, that an individual who gets or secures a job, a wealth building, wealth wage paying job, that they will be able to help the economic trajectory of Central New York, that those individuals will be able to pay their mortgage, get a mortgage, pay their mortgage. They'll be able to pay their lease, and that will help boost the economy in a real way. Some of the other barriers in which I see is transportation barriers. Huge. And those transportation barriers, how we are addressing those in concert with other organizations, is finding out how a person needs assistance, whether it be correcting their driver's license, whether it be getting some bus passes, or whether it be actually walking through the financial literacy process so that they can own their own vehicle to get to the employers that require them to travel a distance. So to sum it up, childcare, housing, as well as transportation are major barriers in which we are helping to break down so that our trainees have a better success.
Absolutely. And that's huge. And just to echo that, childcare, transportation, housing, right? These are huge things that we're witnessing here at the EOC. We've been working really kind of as creatively as possible to tag our community partners to say, what information do you have? What leads might you have? And I think that's the great part of community management and just serving the community is, being very generous with the sharing of information. And sometimes these, these resources they might change, shift eligibility criteria. As I'm sitting down with students, I'm trying to explore and make sure that we're getting all of the applications turned in for these things ahead of time. So that way they can just focus on employment, right? And I know, as a mother, I know that you're a mother, just focusing on employment sometimes can be tough for students that have very colorful lives. And so, as you guys are actively working to reduce these barriers and make sure that people don't fall through the cracks, for someone listening who may be unsure if workforce training is for them, what would you want them to know?
As I stated earlier, since workforce development / workforce training is the silver lining for everything. Whatever a person's desire, goal, if they are going to be successful, training is and should be one of the components to that success.
How do we now begin to even make these individuals aware that this training will fit them? It's not going to be something that they have to completely unearth their lives to be a part of. And I know, just hearing about your story when you were here weeks ago and knowing that, you had a positive experience with the EOC and now being the head of OnRamp, can you share a little bit about your story and your start and how that led to where you are today?
Yes. So when we think about SUNY EOC and we think about the lives in which SUNY EOC touches, I will be remiss to say that I was not touched by SUNY EOC because I was.
Yes.
So SUNY EOC has definitely and been a positive influence in my life and in my career. When I came back from England, I made a decision to leave school and then spent some time trying to figure it out. SUNY EOC became that place where I was able to learn the skills and take and pass my general education diploma requirements. And so it was through SUNY EOC that I was able to take the classes and receive my what's called GED from New York State that helped build upon the confidence that was needed in order to advance the career. Now, I have a very non-traditional education, which I am assuming that people who come through EOC may have.
Yes.
I've taken a number of just courses. I have an insatiable desire to learn and to continue to be an adult learner. And so it resonates to me with some of the people who come through EOC, that they may have some learning aptitudes that are non-traditional. And some may think that, oh my gosh, you've had it all together. And I'm telling you, when I started out, based on some choices that I made in life as a young woman growing, I didn't have it all together. And I had to utilize organizations such as SUNY EOC, programs such as the PACE program at Onondaga Community College, and complete personal development training courses in order to really understand, what am I good at? What do I want to do? How can I serve in this life where there's people who already have started out with a leg up? And it's through these organizations that I really was able to cultivate. This is the passion. This is the gift that I bring to the world, and that is the gift of organization. That is the gift of taking what appears to be chaos and creating it into order. My personal creed is to subdue and pursue and subdue order. And I do that by the building blocks of organizational leadership, instruction, and human resources, inspiring others so that they can achieve and be their best self. And so I credit that to having a place where I can believe that it's possible. And that's what I leave for anyone who is coming through these programs that have been cultivated and created for people to move beyond their place into a space where they can be great and or greater. And I am indebted to this experience and take great pride and heart for it being along the journey that I've experienced.
Wow. Again, powerful, just as powerful as it was when you shared a couple weeks back. And I'm very inspired by you and the work that you're doing and just the grace that you do it with, right? You make it look very easy. And I know it is nowhere near easy. So I guess we'll wrap with, what gives you the hope when you think about the future of Syracuse's workforce and the people you serve? What gives you hope?
First of all, my faith gives me hope.
Amen. Amen. Yeah.
My faith gives me hope because I know that there are the young people who have brilliant minds that will help shape our narrative for the future greater than I could ever imagine. And I'm just truly grateful to be a part of this rejuvenation of experiences that, when we think about it collectively, we will be better tomorrow than we are today. When we look at the community that exists, that has all sorts of people, race, color, creeds, experiences, background, economic statuses. And when we come together and we think of someone else as ourselves, then we will be in a position to provide increased access. And it begins by accepting someone in the space and where they are. and helping them grow and get to be their greater selves. And so that's how I have the hope.
That's awesome. That is just, I wouldn't add anything to that. That was beautiful. I can say so much about my experiences here at the EOC and my impressions of OnRamp in our surrounding community partners. And my hat is off to everyone that makes an attempt at this work. It is very crucial, it's timely, and it is a rejuvenation in the city of just speaking more about workforce development. And I would love to encourage the viewers today, if you want to learn more about OnRamp, the EOCs, definitely check out. I'll leave the websites in the description box below. And if this conversation was helpful at all to you today, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and to subscribe to our YouTube page, our Facebook channels. We'll leave all of our socials down below, in addition to OnRamp socials. So thank you guys so much for listening. Is there any last words of wisdom that you want to leave with our viewers?
Stay connected, stay powerful, stay inspired.
Yes.
The best is yet to come.
That part. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Take care, folks.
Take care. Bye for now.